They started. They're in the ratings fight of their lives or whatever. So no open. Just here comes MJF. Safe shot every time, right? Let's just throw the fucking drop the cow. Throw the big guns at him. Problem is, MJF is wrestling Kyle Fletcher. Now, Brian, I'm about to relate to you the way that this thing is gone, and I want you to stop me if I misrepresent something or get something wrong, okay?
That's a deal. Okay.
Okay, so Will Osprey signed sometime late last year with AEW and came in and said, I'm going to finish up in New Japan. I'll be back in a couple months. And then the people are like, yes, we love Will Osprey. And you could tell they just wanted to see him. He comes back in a couple months when he finishes from New Japan and promptly signs with the heel manager, Don Fallis, who's been running a heel organization in this company for fucking 2 or 3 years.
I think that may be wrong.
Okay.
Was he with Callis before he came on full time? Wasn't he already like kind of like a member who whenever he would pop up on their TV show every now and then, he was aligned with Don Callis?
Well, and that maybe you may have caught me in a loophole, but nevertheless, he comes in and he signs with Don Fallis. We got that part right. So now you've got Will Osprey, who the people fucking love, signed by the heel manager and in the heel group. And then the first thing that he does, at the behest apparently of the heel manager, is to fight all the other members of the heel manager's group and beat them, including poor Hobbs, who we've never seen again. He put him out permanently, and it used to cost managers money when one of their own men put one of their other men out of fucking action. So then, after doing that, after beating all the other heels, including Kyle Fletcher, then he asked if Don would let him out of the family because he didn't want to be in it, and Don said okay. Now, meanwhile, MJF was a babyface, but he turned heel, and so he should now be fighting babyfaces they really like to put more heat on him. But last week, Kyle Fletcher came out and said that he was Will Ospreay's best friend, and he told Don Fallis that he's going to fight MJF, and Don said okay. So now MJF is the top heel, but Kyle is a middle card babyface in a heel group with a heel manager that then proceeded to kick the shit out of MJF for much of 20 fucking minutes. And MJF had to do every possible thing that he knew how to do or ever has done in the ring to beat him. So how the fuck is MJF going to last 5 minutes with Will Ospreay? Third base. Is that an Abbott and Costello fucking deal?
I don't know.
What sense does any of this make?
I think they're trying to make Fletcher. If I had to guess, I would say that Will Ospreay really is Kyle Fletcher's best friend, and Will Ospreay wants to work with Kyle Fletcher, and that's been the direction they were teasing, and that's the direction they were going, and they're trying to make Kyle Fletcher.
But wait a minute, how are they going to work against each other if they're best friends and Kyle Fletcher is fucking taken up for Will Ospreay by fighting MJF?
Clearly there's going to be a turn, and clearly Don Callis will be involved.
Oh my God, I'm glad it's all clear to you.
Now, with that said, I said this the other day, he never won a match that I remember ever on TV.
Never.
With that said, I thought he was great here. I thought this was a great match.
Yes, he is. He can do all the moves.
And he's got size, and he's young, so he's only going to fill out more. I came away from this terribly impressed with Kyle Fletcher. I thought he looked incredible here.
Is there a middle ground between pickup basketball on the playground and the NBA Finals?
College.
Okay, then why don't you send the fucking guy to college first? He is a flunky who has looked like shit for fucking months and months and never won a match. Now suddenly, he makes himself over with a new look where he looks like a centerfold in the Scandinavian edition of Blue Boy magazine, but at least he's trying. But suddenly he's going 20 minutes fucking toe-to-toe with the top heel in the fucking company to set up the top heel wrestling Cal Fletcher's big brother, a.k.a. the better, more accomplished fucking star. But
again, I'm not justifying it. I enjoyed the match. I'm going to say that without complaint. But
yes, start pushing the fucking guy and giving him wins and putting some credibility into him and let him get better and expose his new personality. Instead of, they're making MJF earn whatever millions Tony is paying him by having these, and I'm sorry, it was also an indie level match in terms of Fletcher just has never been to fucking proper training system or whatever. He's doing all this modern shit that's the same shit as everybody else does. He gets Canadian destroyered and just stands up and clotheslines the guy. He's got potential athletically. He's a long fucking way off because all the rest of them have potential athletically. MJF knows all the heel tricks. He gets a reaction on shit. He builds stuff so it gets a reaction instead of just doing shit, you know, like everybody else does. But when he has to have a Starrcade 86 main event with every goddamn middling guy on the card, he doesn't raise them to his level. They lower him to theirs. If they were going to have this match, cut the time in half, shine Kyle up at the beginning, let MJF cut him off and get some heat enough for Kyle to make a fucking comeback, and then boom, convincing win with no fucking shenanigans, and then tease you're going to give him a brain buster on the goddamn concrete and break his neck like you did Garcia, and out comes Osprey. That does something for MJF and general business and Kyle. He had a good match for 10 minutes and hung in there, but let's face it, it's not his time yet. Osprey's the guy, and MJF took advantage of the youngster. When the top guy can't beat this guy without a bazooka, it doesn't do anything for MJF or their general business. And Kyle can do all the moves, but he punches like a girl and he dresses like he's in reform school. He just still looks like he's a fucking teenager.
The punches looked really bad, I will say that.
Yes. And that's the same thing as everybody else is doing. He climbs up to the top rope, takes 15 seconds to get his balance, and backflips off without looking. And there, poor MJF is standing there to catch him almost because he nearly missed him. They fought on the floor. They fought in the crowd. Fletcher, whichever his name is, kicks out of a hammerlock DDT, stands up after a Canadian destroyer. Then it gives MJF a leaping tombstone and gets a 2 count. It's not the match that MJF has with a fucking veteran professional. It's the one he has where he's trying to get these goofballs shit in, even though he knows it's stupid. But he's supposed to get these guys shit in because he's being told to try to get them over, apparently. And then Phallus leaves color and goes to the ring and tosses a screwdriver to Kyle. The screwdriver again, and Kyle draws back and milks it, and then he looks and he's conflicted. You're going to stab a motherfucker or you're not. And again, if he was throwing him the dynamite diamond ring or a pair of brass knuckles or fucking blunt instrument or a slapjack or whatever, okay, but no, he's not going to fucking stab anybody with a screwdriver. You stupid fuckers. You fucking blithering simpletons. This is goddamn outlaw indie bullshit. Even goddamn people that used to go into business for themselves without care of what would happen. The Sheik wasn't going to stab anybody with a fucking screwdriver. But then he throws it down because he's a pussy. And is he a babyface or a heel? We don't know. MJF gives him a nut shot, a kangaroo kick, and brainbusters him 1, 2, 3. Why was the screwdriver necessary except it was a stupid thing they were doing with Don Fallis months ago? Nobody believes it. Nobody gives a shit. Again, leave out the leaping tombstone on MJF and getting a 2 count. And if Don wanted to come down, let him try to come and interfere in any kind of reasonable way that one might. And it can backfire or whatever, but why are you having the heel manager try to make the babyface that's wrestling the top heel in the company cheat? What the fuck? Comment on anything before I go to the afterbirth.
Again, I like the match itself. I thought if this was the old days and you could take out a lot of the things that you just pointed out, like Don Callis, the screwdriver, this would have been a great match to make a guy. A young guy with some size, and the fans were into him. Can't say they weren't.
Why are we making Kyle Fletcher 2 weeks before the fucking Wembley Stadium show that Osprey and MJF are fucking main eventing? Why are we goddamn trying to have MJF make Fletcher?
I guess that's the issue. It's the timing. It's when, if they're going to do something with him and Osprey, and it certainly looks like that's what they're teasing, you got to think it's going to happen soon, maybe even at Wembley. So they're trying to get all this done now. Don Callis
manages pussies. One guy won't use his best move because he's fucking scared it'll hurt somebody. The other guy won't stab somebody with a screwdriver because he's scared it'll hurt somebody.
It'll come out that Don Callis is behind this whole thing. And I thought it was a good match, but I think the booking holes are a problem. And I said it before, MJF being used to make guys is not the way he should be used. He should just be interacting with main eventers. The other problem is there are no main eventers.
There are no main eventers. Well, there's one main eventer, Will Osprey. Where was he during all this, you might ask? He was in the back, watching this match on a monitor very closely. And when MJF won with the brainbuster, he said, fuck it, I'm going out there. And he goes to try to leave the room, and the door has been barricaded. Brian, when he finally burst through the door, did you see what was barricading it?
Well, there were some cases there, but there were also a bunch of people standing in the hallway, it seemed like.
Well, there were a bunch of people on the hallway that if you'd have beat on the door and let me out, they might have done it. I said, let me out. They might have done it, but he didn't need to because the equipment cases that the door was barricaded with were on fucking wheels. Did you see that? He was acting like he was trying to push those equipment cases, that's for the lighting equipment. That's for cameras. That's for microphone, audio equipment, sensitive shit that has egg crates and different container things inside those things. But they're big enough that a standing adult can lean on them and not really bend over a lot. They would weigh hundreds of pounds, and they're hard-sided, and they do weigh hundreds of pounds. That's why they're on fucking wheels. And that's why one guy can easily, with one hand, push those equipment cases, because they're built that way. So he was trying to push open the door like, oh, it's barricaded, and then suddenly he gives the big push, and the shit wheels off. It was all on wheels. The fuck? Whereas they should have used the forklift there instead of run through the fake wall. So then we go back to the ring with the camera, and MJF, instead of just taking the referee and just chucking him out of the ring, he takes the championship belt and he fucking knocks the referee out. And then he puts the ring on, and he nails Fletcher. And Fletcher dropped and tried to get color, but it turned out to be a pap smear. And then MJF is pounding on poor old Fletcher, who's bleeding like he's popped the most angry pimple that has ever existed on a man's forehead. And then MJF went for the Tiger Driver. And finally, and this has taken a while, so after Osprey burst out of the room, he must have got lost. But finally, he hits the ring, and MJF bails out and runs off. And Don gets in the ring, and the doctor gets in the ring, and everybody is checking. Fletcher looked in better shape than Britt Baker when she did that big blade job. He had a small drippage of blood on his head. These other guys have been literally drenched in buckets of blood. And oh my God, this is what the fuck? And why are we? This guy was a heel until last week, a mid-card at best heel that never won a match, and now we're supposed to feel so sorry for him because of what's been done to him while his buddy was trapped with cases with wheels on him. Help me.
I can't help you with any of that stuff. Like I said, I enjoyed the match, the booking around the match, and the booking around all this stuff with the Callis family and Will Osprey and Fletcher is suspect.